Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the grand finale of the Jsra 2026 Porsche Cup. We've had a few internet issues here to start, so we ask for forgiveness with our delayed beginning. But that being said, we are grateful that we're here and ready to get racing at the legendary Sebring International Raceway. This season has been sponsored by our partners in Shotels. Grateful for all that they've done to help us to reach to where we are today. This is the conclusion to the Porsche Cup. It's been a season filled with drama, battles that just came from every direction. We've had on-court drama, off-court, off-track drama. We've had everything you can think of. And at this point, all of the drivers just want to put all of what they have left out there on the table to bring this event to a conclusion. Sebring is no ordinary circuit. It's actually a former airfield which was turned a racing icon. It's known for its unforgiving bumps. It's one of the bumpiest tracks, especially with a Porsche Cup car that, if it was in real life, I'm sure they'd need to say a chiropractor at the end of it, but it demands both car and drivers to just be in tune for every portion of this track, especially here, which is one of the most popular portions where you see the bouncing on that front right. You're seeing the instability of that Porsche Cup, but that wall right there, that's a special name for most drivers. Hopefully we don't have to use it tonight, but that being said, I have a few key drivers who are out. One notable driver, Mr. Jaden Harrison, who is actually at the real life Sebring event, watching and rooting for our own Thomas Gore, who placed P3 on the podium today. Epic drive for him, and a huge shout out to him. It was an absolutely brilliant race with and a brilliant stint for Tommy, as a matter of fact. He's racing there in the Super Trofeo class, so if you have time, tune in to the IMSA Sebring. But tonight the pressure just couldn't be higher. The championships are definitely on the line. The top 5 are separated by a mere 33 points. Estefano Barrero leads for Nova Racing in Colombia with 218 points. He leads by 6 points to the likes of Felipe Yil. Right behind them, or a little bit further behind, down by about 25 points, is Daniel Roberts, who sits there in P3 with 193 points. But he can't be too comfortable because right behind him, 6 points behind, is Daniel Moreno, and 8 points behind him is Miguel Beltran. So he has quite an event for him this evening to try his best to put a bid. He there sits behind all of them in P5, 2/10 down, but hey, let's see what can happen here this evening. But that's not the only fight that we're watching. The fight for the midfield is also on because Jaden Harrison is missing in action. He is in P6 with 115 points. Now remember, the prize pool goes all the way down to P10, and as a matter of fact, is it all of the drivers? I believe all of the drivers, yes, behind him are on the grid, with the exception of Edwin Ballerino. So, right behind Jaden is David Tuta, only 14 points behind him. 21 points behind Jaden is Daniel Velez. So Jaden sits in P6 with 115. David Tuta in P7 with 101. Daniel Velez in P8 with 94. Edwin Ballerino in P9 with 90. And Taj Edwards, after not scoring a point last week, it was a dramatic race. Unfortunate for him, ended very early for both races going up Eau Rouge. Taj Edwards left pointless. He sits 38 points behind Jaden, which at the end of this could dwindle very, very quickly. So yeah, the drama here tonight is going to be very interesting. It's going to be an evening to night race. We have qualifying starting in about 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes to be exact, followed by 2 sprint races, 1 20 minutes, and there you see the bumps We're watching on board with Daniel Moreno, who's been putting on quite a bid here to close that gap to the drivers behind. Keep in mind as well, at the points that we mentioned earlier, it's not with the drop races. So at the end of the season, we'll be counting the top 6 out of 8 point scoring for each driver. So even though I gave you the full rundown, 8 rounds that were done. This is the finale at Sebring Raceway. So we'll implore you to follow us on Instagram and stay tuned to what we have in store as we continue onwards to prepare for what is going to be an amazing evening of racing. It's already getting darker. By qualifying, it should be 7 p.m. and it's supposed to be an evening into night race here this evening. So sunset is about 7:34. So 10 minutes qualifying session. So at the end of race 1, we should be seeing the sun setting and it going dark. That's going to be a beautiful sight here at Sebring, both on track when it's at night and off, and even in the beautiful sunset weather here. Well, yes, we have quite a lot to be in store for. The question is simple as I'm actually, who can rise above the chaos? The conditions are going to be interesting, and who will deliver the right moves when it matters the most? Because at Sebring, you don't just race the competition, you're racing the track itself. It can be a very rough race, especially in these cars. So, ladies and gentlemen, just sit back, get ready. This is the finale before we head back into GT3s with the In Le Mans Ultimate. This could be the make or break moment for a lot of these drivers. We continue to look forward to what is in store. And the wait is over. We are back with racing in 2026. The season kicks off with the Porsche Cup. Dynamic conditions, 8 iconic tracks, drivers throughout the Caribbean and the world fighting for glory in the new revamped Porsche Cup. This is promising to be the best season yet at the JSRA as we lead into season 2 with the GT3 Championship. drivers fighting for the top step of the podium. They've returned for the fight, and the glory will be theirs. And side by side, the two drivers, as it's a sprint race down the Kendall Straight. And Michael Charles now sends a move down the inside into turn 7. Huge lockup. Maurice Garcia sees the error and runs away with it. 7 Mile Racing chasing in the background for P1. The season begins January 23rd, 2026. Sponsored by Shotels. It is now qualifying time with Mr. Estefan. Prepares for his first flying lap here. This is a championship leader. Flying lap of the evening, and the final qualifying session is now underway as he heads through turn 1. And again, you want to trail brake as best as possible heading into turns 2, 3, 4 and 5. This is the first S for the track, and you can see a lot of drivers. That's going to be somewhere that you're going to see a lot of overtaking, especially in lap 1. Heads down the Big Bend right round turn 6 to the next heavy braking portion of the track. You'll clip that third cone, hit down the brakes, try and ease off and try and carry as much speed through it. As you see him continuing onwards, looking clean so far, heading through Fangio up to Cunningham by turn 10. And this, ladies and gentlemen, we've had so many good battles here at Sebring. We've had some very dramatic ones, and there's going to be so much to look forward to here this evening. But as he is setting his first flying lap and setting it looking very good, he's improving on his own times. But looking on the timing sheets, he's done a 22.32 in sector 2. There's a 22.21 in sector 2 for Daniel Moreno. So Daniel Moreno himself is coming harder and harder as he's preparing himself to take indicative pole. But for the first driver who will be coming through, he comes through the second to last corner by turn 16 to head down. As well, Estefano Barrera now in P2, Daniel Moreno in P1. That's gonna be very fun to watch, ladies and gentlemen. It's separated by 600th of a second. Peter Arndale there, the next one to go across. Kavan Thomas Green, Vincent De Silva, where can he put that car? Dominic Charles as well. He comes across to set it for a 201.142. Looks like he had an incident there. And Jamarson, the next one to cross and see where he can put that lap. Kurt Moss, seeing a lot of yellows on his lap. I don't think that's his first lap either. So we'll watch to see what happens there. Daniel Roberts, so he should be crossing now. Where will his lap go? His first lap for this evening. Nope, not seeing a time for Daniel Roberts. So it seems he had invalidated that lap, which is not going to be good for him in his bid for the holding off against the Colombians behind him. Kimani Eastman, he comes through comes up the Allman Straight. Let's see where he goes, but Felipe Yield, he has something to say about it now as he takes provisional pole. Estefano improves in sector 5 there, but still nowhere to go, especially in comparison. Miguel Beltran right ahead of Daniel Moreno, so we'll watch Miguel, then we'll switch back to Daniel to see where he can put this car. Kimani goes across the line to put that car in P14. Estefano is the next one up in front of these guys right here as he comes through the Sunset Bend. He'll have one more lap after this, so we'll take a look, but right now Miguel is the one who's looking rapid here this evening, and he has a bid to try and fight for the top step of the podium and at least move up 1 or 2 extra positions as he comes around the Sunset Bend, comes across the line now. Where will this put him? Didn't look too rapid in sector 6, but it does put him in P3 right behind himself and Felipe Yield and Daniel Moreno. So Estefano is now sitting in P4. Daniel Roberts hasn't set a time yet, as a matter of fact. Felipe Yield crosses but doesn't improve. Let's take a look down the field. Taj Edwards, he's coming down the line now, and he is improving on his time, currently in P8. Where can he go in this standing? Andrew Marston as well improves. He moves up into P10. Taj Edwards the next one up, and he comes across the line. Where does that put him? He does improve above the Trinidadian and the Bajan in Peter and Kadim, so he goes up into P5. Daniel Roberts though still hasn't set a time, and he is one of those fighting in the championship, and there you see him, he goes up into still no time. So Daniel Roberts having a third qualifying session here this evening. That's going to be rough for him in his final bid for this championship. Miguel Beltran, Estefano, and Felipe Yield all fighting for glory here. They are teammates, but they are fighting here this evening for the podium as he comes through the final chicane, and there you see him using too much of the curb. Estefano will lose out right there, but Daniel Moreno, he is looking rapid. Purple sector 1, did well in sector 2 and sector 3, improved in sector 4. Where can he go now? But yes, even him, right behind him is Daniel Velez, who, let's see where he'll go, but let's just take a look as Estefano comes around the final corner. Close to the wall, you're going to see him using every inch of the lap. Where will that put him? Miguel Beltran is the next one to come across as well, and you see them use as much as the corner, and there goes Estefano into provisional pole. But will Miguel have anything to do with it, or Daniel Moreno? Nothing to do just yet. Felipe Yield is the last one who is slightly improving. Can he put a bid in for this top step? Crosses the line. Where will it put him? 159.227. So the top 3 separated by 300th of a second. What a qualifying there for the drivers. Daniel Roberts though, he still hasn't put a lap in. Improved in sector 1, not looking like a rapid lap, and as I speak, Taj Edwards, he comes across the line. Where will that put him? 159.6, so 5 tenths down on provisional pole right there. There goes Javier Salazar, and Daniel Roberts, where will he go after finally crossing the line? P7 for the Jamaican. Kurt Muss as well, he improves, but nowhere further up. He is the final driver in the top 10. Where can that put him to start this race? Mikhail Charles as well, one of the last drivers to try and finish up their laps. Davil Parker as well, we've seen him in the past. He's made quite a few good laps here in this season. A better race pace than a qualifying pace. So looking forward to seeing what he can do there. But Mikhail Xavier Charles, for the 7 Mile Racing driver, his countryman in Dominic Charles right behind, and teammate right behind in P13, and Andrew Marson, not his teammate but his countryman, sits there in P14. Kavan Thomas Green didn't get to finish his lap, But what a beginning session. The three on the podium, separated by 300th of a second. Wowzers is what the people in the middle portion of this stream is going to be saying when they see the action just unfolding before them. So let's take a quick look at the grid. Yes. So Estefano Barrero, he leads. Right behind him is Daniel Moreno, Felipe Yil in P3, Miguel Beltran in P4, Taj Edwards P5, Peter Arundel in P6, Daniel Roberts P7, Daniel Velez P8, Kadim Mohammed in P9, Kurt Moss in P10. We have David Tuta in P11, Mikhail Charles in P12, Dominic Charles in P13, Andrew Marson in P14, Javier Salazar P15, Kimani Eastman P16, Bruno Alves Yoshihara, he sits in P17, Rich Dion P18, Vincent Da Silva P19, Julian Narcisse in P20, Deville Park P21, Joel Santamaria in P22, and Kavan Thomas Green in P23. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go racing. Put your bids in. Who do you believe will take the victory here this evening? As we see the drivers all on the grid. Miguel Beltran and Daniel Roberts, the only two who haven't as yet. But we'll look forward to seeing what will come in the next few moments as we get ready and prepare for round 8, the finale here this evening. The lights are now on. Who is taking the victory here? It's Green Flag Racing. And right there, you can see Daniel Moreno already getting a good look, but the inside line will be there for Estefano. Right behind them is Miguel Beltran trying to make the move on Felipe Yil. And right now, there you're seeing it, the battling has begun. That is Daniel Roberts fighting it on... oh no, that's Taj Edwards, my apologies. Almost opening the door for Daniel Roberts there. So clearly, maybe saying, you know, we're Jamaicans, let's help each other here this evening. Clean getaway so far, as Daniel Roberts now sits right behind Miguel and the 4 ahead of him who are right behind him on the tail end of this championship. Right behind them there, Kadim Mohammed is being hounded by, who is that? Peter Arundel, who is trying to make the move as they head through and through. And it looks like a clean battle so far as I head down now into Cunningham by turns 10 and 11. And the two are still going to keep it out side by side. Heavy braking, or not too heavy, but enough to try and carry as much speed. But Peter Arundel looks like he gets the move done. Now Kadim Mohammed is under threat by David Tuta. So that's going to be something that we're going to be watching here in the next few moments. There you see the gap. The gaps all throughout. Francisco Javier and Mikhail Charles as well. Right behind them is Kimani Eastman and Deville Park, who are fighting it out as well to see what can happen. And there is the Kimani, sticks it on the inside to try and make that move. Mikhail Charles though will continue on. Why is the pit line on? Give me 1 second and clear that really quickly. Yes. And the battle will continue onwards as they head down the Allman Straight. P1 looking very clean right now so far. He's trying to get away. Felipe Yil, Daniel Moreno, and Miguel Beltran and Daniel Roberts. The top 5 in the championship sit here neck and neck right behind each other. Taj Edwards and Daniel... Ooh, what's happening with Daniel Velez? Looks like a little bit of a network issue there for him. We'll continue to monitor that. Hopefully it doesn't bring too much drama. Seeing Dominic Charles has crashed. Not sure what had happened there, but we'll take a look in a moment's time. But Taj Edwards and Daniel Velez, they are fighting it out in the championship in the midfield. So that's going to be another thing to watch, as well as Peter Arundel, another driver that we'll pay attention to at some moment. That is Kurt Moss, who is in the pits. So, oh gosh, man, Kurt, I'm so sorry, brother. So we'll take a look at the replay at the beginning in a moment. But for now, we just try and stick and see what's happening. Dominic Charles there saying he's having issues with his wheel, which is why he had to DNF. And that explains so much. DeVille Park, he's looking like he's trying to make a move on Mr. Rich Dio, our good friend there from 7 Mile Racing out in Cayman Islands. DeVille there just sitting in the slipstream, waiting on his moment. And we've seen him put on some really good racing these past few days. Did have some poor moves here and there, but hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is racing. Sometimes you just lick it and stick it and stamp it and send it when you shouldn't have, and man, it comes with the territory. But there goes DeVille. Rich immediately goes defensive as I head down now the Sunset Bend. DeVille now gonna be under threat by the likes of Vincent De Silva, and that's DeVille Park who loses it at the wrong time. We did say it before. That's gonna be one corner that we've seen it happen so many times. And here the battle between Miguel Beltran and Daniel Roberts has begun. And you're seeing RJ Bargy, as Mark Ryu would have said, and they get out of it unscathed. Seeing some flashing of the lights, maybe a little bit of aggression there. We'll hear about it more and more as we continue on, but Daniel there missed the initial part. We'll look at the replay in a moment, but just forcing the issue. Felipe Yield, though, he is fighting for the top step of the championship, and he wants the victory here tonight. So yes, they're teammates, but that doesn't mean he doesn't want to fight for the victory. We've seen them have some moments all season. Looking forward to seeing what they can bring here this evening as well. Daniel Moreno, though, he's just there sitting again, just waiting on his moment. With 5 minutes only gone so far, let's see what he has up his sleeve to try and get through the field as quickly as possible and put a bid on the top step of that podium. But right now it stands Estefano in P1, Felipe Yield in P2, Daniel Moreno in P3. Those are the three on the podium. Daniel Roberts fighting to hold on to P3 in the championship. He sits in P4. Miguel Beltran is falling back, almost 2 seconds behind Daniel. So that's not sure there's damage there from the incident with himself and Daniel Roberts. We'll hear about it soon. Taj Edwards, Daniel Velez, they are right behind each other, separated by 0.4 of a second. But Taj, he's looking if he can make the move on the car ahead of him, and these two have found themselves into quite a few incidents. And as you see, the time is getting darker and darker. Lights are now on as the sun will be setting in about give or take about 12 minutes. And we head into the evening night racing. Bruno, he has, unfortunately, he couldn't make it last week because of technical issues, but he now sits in P12, and he's made up a few positions, as a matter of fact. Looking forward to what he can do. A driver out of the BROT, the Brazilian League. Our good friends over there. Have given us some really good racing here. We're missing Mikhaili, unfortunately. She won't be participating, but we'll continue to wait on them we'll continue to have more events with them as we continue onwards in this series. Well, we'll be heading into Le Mans Ultimate next as we head into some GT3 racing. But look at the grid, the field, it's all close-knit pick racing, so we'll continue to watch it and see, especially the top three. If there's even one mistake, drivers will try their best to capitalize on it. Daniel Roberts in a race of his own, 1 second behind, trying to just stay close, see if he can put in a bid there. Miguel, though, he's holding his own as well, but that gap has built up to about 2.2 seconds. Taj Edwards, I'm sure, will be trying his best to try and get in front of Miguel as quickly as possible. Daniel Velez as well, he sits behind the Jamaican, waiting on seeing what can happen there. David Tutor, not too far behind Peter Arndell either, so Peter is going to be watching to see in front and behind what can happen. And ooh, that's Julian! And you see him there, he made contact with DeVille Park. And that ends, well, hopefully it doesn't end as well. Well, at this point, that's not the best position to be in. You see him head back to the pits now. That was a pity. That was a pity, man. That was a pity. We saw we didn't see the initial incident, but we saw the latter parts of it. I'm guessing we didn't see when or what had happened with him. But let's take a look at the start quickly. So this was Kurt Moss. He was fighting through the field. He started in the top 10. I guess had a really poor start. And this is him going. Who's that? That's Michael Charles beside him. Tries to make the move. Seems clean so far. And there, not a brake check, but it was one driver overslowing in front of him and then another who was just right beside him. So that's unfortunate for the Jamaican here. And his continuation of DNFs will continue on into the finale. Again, it's just great to see Kurt Moss on the track, but it's so sad when you see incidents like that. Didn't look like it was any fault of anybody, but still just sad to see. Kimani Eastman chasing down the 7-mile racing driver Rich Dyer. Rich is here to enjoy himself and gain as many points. He's in the final points position, so let's see where he can place that car as they continue onwards. With the top three separated by almost about 3/10 in between. Felipe though is holding up Daniel Moreno. Daniel looking like he wants to get a go at Estefano, so the teammates know. Let's see how long that working together will last for. But they still have to be aware of Daniel Roberts, who's right there behind, literally about 1.5 seconds behind. So he's not out. If there's any incident, he has a chance and an opportunity. Let's see what can happen there. Taj Edwards there still. He trying to get in front of Miguel. He's not pulling away, but still has a decent enough gap to the drivers behind. Michael Charles as well, hunting down Bruno. Bruno hunting down Andrew Morrison. And these three are going to make a third race for us to keep abreast of. It's Kadeem Mohammed still being chased by Peter Arundel there. Taj Edwards, he needs to make a move and make it soon. 10 minutes or 9 minutes to go in race one. The more points that you get is the better. He is chasing down Daniel Velez in the championship as well. So that's going to be another interesting battle to watch. As the battle for midfield, he's about 17 points behind Daniel Velez. And about 13 in behind Edwin Ballerino, who's not here this evening. There you see, I believe that was Dominic Charles that we saw being overtaken after his incident. He lost his wheel, as a matter of fact, but Taj Edwards and Miguel Beltran both trying to fight it out there as they head through the Sunset Bend. Daniel Velez though, he's seeing a moment to see if he can just put a foot and see if he can gain an advantage from the two fighting in front of him. Flashing of Daniel Velez, not sure why, but there he sits in the slipstream, backs off early, tries to get a better run as they head into turns 2 and 3. And here you're going to see him there, go a little bit wide. Will he try and stick a move? Nope, nowhere to go. And again, with the ABS on these cars, it's so hard to be, do a late break per se. You just have to be so creative, and you just have to force the issue, as you're seeing here right now between Daniel and these drivers ahead. Daniel Moreno though, oh, what had happened? Daniel Roberts is in P2 and Felipe Yiel is all the way down in P10. What happened there? Daniel Moreno sits in P3. So a complete flip on the head. What had happened? Let's take a look. Seeing that Felipe Yiel had crashed, so there you're seeing it. It's a battle between the three. It looked clean and tidy so far. That's Dominic Charles, and ooh, lost the back end. And Daniel Moreno continued to just take him out. Has to wait, can't rush it to get back on too quickly. Oh my word. And that gives Daniel Roberts P2 in the battle here. Daniel Moreno now, he himself will be trying his best to get through and gain as many points as possible, because his closest counterpart is Miguel Beltran, who sits right behind him. But I'm sure Daniel wanted to even try and put a bid and fight against Daniel Roberts, because even they are separated only by 6 points. As the time is getting darker and darker, as we close in to sunset here at Sebring Raceway for the finale of the JSRA Porsche Cup, sponsored by Shotels. Man, this has just been a season. I can't explain what we've seen so far. Felipe Yule right now, if he finishes where he finishes, will be in P1 for the reverse grid, but we've seen him do a lot better in the sense that we've seen him fall because of fault not of his own, and fight his way through the field to gain as many points positions as possible. So we'll continue to look forward to see what can happen there for him here this evening. Daniel Velez still chasing down Taj Edwards. Taj in the sandwich of a Colombian, in the middle of a Colombian sandwich. Daniel Moreno, though, he is right there on the bumper of Daniel Roberts. Estefano using this as his moment to just get away and run away from the masses. 2.5 seconds gap for himself right now in the race so far. So we'll just ride along board with Daniel Moreno as he chases down the likes of Daniel Roberts. So head right there around turn 16 by the Le Mans corner. And this is the only place a slipstream really benefits you, unless you can get a better run coming out of the final turn by turn 17. And you're seeing the power of the draft, but it's just not long enough. And this is the thing, you have to get such a good run now for it to make sense. We have to be so careful because of those bumps as you see them there using every inch of the corner. 159.4, so Estefano now saying, okay, this is my moment to get away from these drivers. And Daniel Roberts acting as a buffer for the drivers and Mr. Estefano, who is looking powerful here this evening, in prime position to snap what it is that is in front of him. Daniel Velez sits in P6. He's still trying to get in front of Taj Edwards. And Taj trying to keep him behind as well to make sure he can close that gap to Mr. Velez as best as possible. Because race 2, anything can happen. And you want to capitalize. There are 2 drop races. P5 would be one of his better finishes this season. So where can he be finishing here this evening? Mikhail Charles continues on his bid to see if he can get further down and through the 2 ahead of him. We'll continue to watch that battle. On the timing sheet, we'll bring back the battle box to get an idea of who is there and who is near and who we need to be watching for. And this is the battle for P4 in this evening's race. Kanani Eastman, noticing him still trying to get the better of the final points position between himself and Rich Dial. It's going to be a dark race in the next one. And ooh, Andrew there. That can look very slidey. So came through turn 16. But the battling continues. Daniel Moreno, I'm sorry, I missed it, but Daniel Moreno is now just sitting on the back end of that Porsche Cup in front of him. That looked so wild there for a moment. Didn't know what was happening, and ooh, he sent the move, sent Daniel Roberts out. Hopefully the aggression doesn't continue for too much. But that was a bump pass, ladies and gentlemen. Was there something that happened before? We saw a little bit drama. But we'll continue to watch this battle onwards. Just saw that gap there for a moment, but this battle between Bruno and Mikhail continues. Saw the switch for a moment, but nowhere to go. Daniel Roberts though, P3 fighting for P2, trying to hold on to P3 in the championship. He needs his best result here this evening. Moreno there immediately goes defensive. There is Roberts. You're seeing him pushing that car through the corners, so he clearly wants back that position, which we can only imagine. But there again, defensive goes Moreno, knows where to put the car just to slow down Roberts enough to keep him away from even thinking of making a move here. And all of this is just lending, or not even lending, but just giving the championship to Estefano. Felipe Yield, he moves up into P9. Ooh! Oh my God, that was scary, that was scary, that was scary. But luckily, the two get out without any major damages. My gosh, this is the final race of the season. Miguel Beltrando and Taj Edwards, they themselves are getting caught up into this action now. So the fight will be on for the final podium step. But right now, Estefano, he will come to cross the line, and that will finish the race in P1. Right there, Daniel Moreno takes P2, Daniel Roberts in P3, Miguel Beltran P4, Taj Edwards in P5, Daniel Velez in P6, Kadim Mohammed in P7, Peter Arndell finishes right behind in P8, Felipe Yield in P9, David Tuta in P10, and Jamarson comes around now to finish off in P11. Bruno finishes off in P12. Mikhail Charles couldn't get the better of him, sits in P13. Vincent Da Silva now, he comes around. And right behind them, Rich Dio and Kimani Eastman. Looks like they had a little battle there going on, but nothing to do for them as they finish out the point standings. Rich Dio finishes right before them. What a finish to their race. What an evening this has been. Let's just take a quick look before, but this was the move with Daniel Roberts and Daniel Moreno. So Daniel clearly saw the desperation in the move, said, yo, I need to make this move now. Let's just skip through to see what had happened, because it all started on that final corner, or the final run up to the final corner, let's say. Or sorry, to turn one. My apologies. So that's where the drama really started. Let's see what had happened. Just trying to fast forward as well as much as possible. Right, so this is where it would have started. Let's slow it down. There you see Moreno got a good run now as they head down the Ullman Straight. Let's look at the run that he gets coming out of the final corner by turn 17. And there you see, does look good. Gets a good run. Looks right, looks, takes a look, does go on the outside, so it was nothing dramatic, but there you see him, he just saw that he had the moment and bounced Daniel Roberts out. I'm sure we're gonna hear about that in the stewarding room at the end of this, but ooh, what an evening, ladies and gentlemen. That was race one. We head now into warm-up and we prepare for the final race. It is now sunset. It's gonna be night time in a moment. And the wait is over. We are back with racing in 2026. The season kicks off with the Porsche Cup. Dynamic conditions, 8 iconic tracks, drivers throughout the Caribbean and the world fighting for glory in the new revamped Porsche Cup. This is promising to be the best season yet at the Jsra as we lead into season 2 with the GT3 Championship. Drivers fighting for the top step of the podium. They've returned for the fight and the glory will be theirs. And side by side, the two drivers as it's a sprint race down the Kemmel Straight. And Michael Charles now sends a move down the inside into turn 7. Huge lockup. Maris Garcia sees the error and runs away with it. 7 Mile Racing chasing in the background for P1. The season begins January 23rd, 2026. Sponsored by Shotels. Ladies and gentlemen, it's nighttime and it's race 2. It's about to get green. David Tuta will be starting it off. Felipe Yield will be trying his best to get through as quickly as possible as well. Peter Arundel not too far behind. We're seeing a grid lining up behind the Porsche Cup cars. Felipe Yield though, ooh! Not sure what happened there with himself and David Tuta, but he gets through. Taj Edwards as well. He's now looking on a battle between himself and Miguel Beltran. And Daniel Moreno, who would have started from P7, gets a brilliant start here, as well as Daniel Roberts trying to get through the field as quickly as possible. Estefano, he's been the quietest one off the grid so far. And well, let's see what happens as we continue on. It's 25 minutes in the sprint race, so no need to rush it through too much. But right now, Taj Edwards sits in P5, Daniel Roberts in P4, and the racing has begun here this evening at Sebring in race 2. Right behind them, we can see it between Francisco and Andrew Marson, side by side. Oh no, sorry, that's Kevon Thomas Green. The Cayman driver and the Colombian. We'll see what can happen there. Vincent Da Silva is in the pits, as well as is it Kurt Moss? Yes, it is Kurt Moss. So not sure if something can happen to them there. But for now, let's pay attention to the battles ahead, because Peter Arundel versus his countryman in Michael Charles, but they're not teammates. Oh, my apologies. That's Estefano Barrera. Sorry, the nighttime is getting me a little bit. But Estefano, he now moves up 3 positions from P10, now up into P7. So he's just picking them off one by one. Felipe Yield leads by about a second and change to Miguel Beltran. Daniel Moreno finds himself immediately up into P3. Daniel Roberts as well in P4. And Taj Edwards in P5. Michael Charles being hounded by Estefano, as Estefano trying to keep as many points and should try and take home this championship here this evening. Again, the points that we stated earlier could be different because of the drop races. You drop the 2 of your worst races for the season. So where that will put you at the end of this, but you want to capitalize. You want to make sure you get the best result possible. And right now, Estefano there is fighting it out with Michael Charles, the Trinidadian, who we know Michael is not one to give it up too quickly. And you see him there trying to close the gap on the Trinidadian. We've seen some moves with them in the past, and apologies has been made, so we know we'll try and keep it as clean as possible. Michael Charles holds off Mr. Barrera for now between P6 and P7. Peter Arundel, though, he's right behind, as well as Rich Dyer and Mr. Marson. All of them just watching what's happening in front of them as they continue onwards as we complete, or well, we are in the second lap of this race, but yes, we'll continue to watch to see what can happen. But Estefano is going to be the one that we'll watch right now, as he's only a 10th down on the Trinidadian, moving through those chicanes. You see him bouncing that Porsche Cup car as they head down now to the Bishop Corner. Excuse me. And down up by turns 14. So this, you're going to see him try and carry as much speed as possible. Fast left-hander into the... Well, Yeah, left-hander into the right-hander, and you're going to see them pushing. You see Mikhail there. He did go on 2 wheels again twice as they head down now into turn 16 by the Le Mans corner, by all the way up into the Allman straight. So we'll see. Let's look at the slipstream that Mr. Barrera will have as they head down now into turn 16. Seeing there, takes a look. Will he be late on the brakes? Yes, it looks like he's going to try to move. And the two go side by side into the sunset bend, nighttime bend now. Mikhail Charles, though, he's not giving it up. So the outside becomes the inside and the inside becomes the outside. But Estefano, he looks like he's going to try and continue this battle onwards. As you see them heading down now into turn 1, and Estefano Barrera makes a move on Mikhail Charles. Peter Arndale now, though, he's trying to see if he can make that move, but quickly Mikhail takes back that position from Estefano as Estefano drew wide, and now the two will continue onwards in this battle as they continue into the night time. But Peter just waiting on anybody to make a mistake and see if he can capitalize on any of the moves in front of him. Estefano, though, will be frustrated because he wants to get out of the pack as quickly as possible and get up on the back end of that Jamaican in Taj Edwards and try and catch him up and see if he can put a bid in for the top step of the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, put your bids in, but he's not giving it up. He's continuing on this fight as they head down into turns 9 right through Fangio up into Cunningham, and you see him doing that switcheroo there to try and see a little bit of bouncing, not too extreme thankfully, but Peter now looking to see if he can get that move, that moment to just move up in the ranking as well, but nowhere to go for the Trinidadian. Estefano now stuck in the middle of a Trinidadian sandwich. This is going to be frustrating for the Colombian driver ahead of him. Taj Edwards right there as well, just watching what's happening with Daniel Roberts as he chases down Daniel Moreno. These two met into an incident in the last lap of the last race. What can happen here as Miguel Beltran as well? He himself is trying to make a move and a bid for the top step of the podium. He came P4 in last race. Where can he finish here this evening? But we'll take a quick look back at Estefano and Miguel because the two are continuing on with this battle as they head through the final corner. Bouncing for Mr. Barrera and wide, but just wide enough for Mikhail Charles. It'll be a drag race there to turn 1. And this battle will continue onwards. Let's take a look at what Peter is seeing because he's getting a great view of the action there. You see Mikhail Charles is trying to push him as wide as possible. Estefano takes a look on the inside but nowhere to go, but will he get the move now side by side as they head through turns 3, 4 and now 5, and they'll head down now to turn 6 by the Big Bend, and that is again where they head up into the next heavy braking zone by turn 7, the hairpin. But is there enough for the drivers in between themselves to get that move done? Ooh, Peter there just staying there waiting on any moment to shine, but Daniel Moreno and Daniel Roberts, my apologies as we're watching that battle, Daniel Roberts gets through to move up into P3. He continues his bid on for the championship to see where he can last. Taj Edwards as well trying to see if he can inch his brethren further and further down the grid to see if he can help him to capitalize as much. Estefano looks like he finally got that move done. And we can take a look at that. No, like we'll get a second of a minute, but yep, there you see the two side by side trying to keep it as clean as possible. And it looks like he finally just got a better run. Ooh, no. Yep, there you see him. He just got a better run there. But great to see the battling continuing onwards in this session. Miguel Beltran, though, he is not giving up the top step of that podium, and Daniel Roberts can now see the back end of both of the Noble Racing drivers. Daniel Moreno there as well. We'll take a look what had happened there between them, because we'd love to see how Daniel Roberts got that P3 away from the Colombian, who has shown the pace here this evening. And there you see him, he saw an opening, and that looks like the easiest pass he'll ever get for the season. So Daniel Moreno looks like he just gave that position to the Jamaican Even though I'm sure it will be said it was done on merit, I'm 100% sure he wouldn't have just given that position up just for being nice sake. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is the continued battle here. Kimani Eastman, he and Julian Narcisse. They fight it out for P18 and P19. Joe Santamara right behind them. DeVille Park there as well, trying to fight through with Francisca Javier. And it's 3 Trinidadians and 2 on the same team. Estefano now trying to see if he can pull that gap. It's now up to about a second. This is where the battle is going to be watched here between these drivers. So as it stands, we're going to the first 10 minutes of the session. We'll have 15 minutes to go after this. Felipe Yield leading from Miguel Beltran, leading from Daniel Roberts. Daniel Moreno not too far behind, but he's dropping down that much each and every lap. Taj Edwards as well sits in P5 to see if he can gain an advantage on the Colombian in front. And again, he is fighting in the championship against the likes of Daniel Velez, Jaden Harrison, Edwin Ballerino, and a few others. So he wants as many points as possible as well as he continues on. But ladies and gentlemen, look at that gap between Estefano and Taj. 6.5 seconds. It's going to be something dramatic that's going to bring Estefano back into the fight for the top step of the podium or the podium. He does lead the championship though, and it was leading coming in, so he just needs to finish here and he should be taking the championship. That's without us taking the drop races into effect. At least we have to calculate that before we can give a definitive answer. But Daniel Roberts there, he's waiting. Ooh, Miguel there looked very close to his teammate. So the pressure, is it on here now between the two Colombians and the Jamaican? Daniel Roberts, is he sniffing blood? Can he see a moment to strike here on the two ahead of him who has shown that they've had the pace against him? Can he make a move here in the latter stages of this evening? Daniel Moreno, he's just waiting and sitting and watching and waiting and wanting a moment for any of the three. If all three of them could take themselves out, he would be elated, as I'm sure would Estefano. Right now, it's just going to be a train to the final turn by turn 17 by the sunset bend. And that's Miguel. He did take a look. It wasn't close enough. Can he get a better run though? Coming out of the final corner. Oh, Felipe looks like he's going to get a better run. Look at how close these drivers are getting to each other. Miguel there in P2, Daniel Roberts there in P3, Daniel Moreno in P4. Watching to see what can happen here this evening in these latter stages. We have about 12.5 minutes remaining. And Daniel Roberts there does take a look, but again, like how we saw in the previous, park it on the apex, force him wide, and that did Miguel. He holds on to P2. Daniel saw a moment, it looked good in the moment, but nowhere to go for the Jamaican. Still just trying to put that car in places just to remind him that they're there. See him open the door there slightly for Daniel Moreno, but Daniel had nowhere to go, which aids Daniel Roberts in this bid. Felipe is not getting an inch away from these drivers behind him, hoping that they can start some form of fighting and battle to see if he can pull away like what Estefano did just waiting. But let's take a look at Mr. Beltran. Ooh, and Felipe there did go wide. A little bit too wide. Looked like he lost some traction there. Daniel Roberts as well, seeing if he can make a move here. Is it going to be a dramatic turn one? Miguel does have the outside line, which will become the inside line heading into turns 2, 3, 4, and 5. But Felipe takes it back. Doesn't want to give it up. Saw a little bit of bumping there between Daniel Moreno and Daniel Roberts, but Daniel Roberts now sees an opening, almost a bump draft from the competitor. He now moves up to fight between himself and Miguel Beltran as they head down into turn 7, and this is going to be a heavy braking by the hairpin corner, but the inside for Miguel Beltran. So Daniel Roberts will have nowhere to go, but they still get through the corner unscathed. Daniel Moreno now, he's looking to see if he can get in the mix, because right now that outside will become the inside for Daniel Roberts. Daniel Roberts looking like he's gonna get the move done. Can he? Not as yet. This two still continue on with this battle. Little bit of bumping. Miguel now in the battle with Daniel Moreno. Miguel and Daniel now fighting it out. Miguel loses 2 in 1. Daniel Roberts moves up into P2. Daniel Moreno moves up into P3. What a battle this has turned out to be. Taj Edwards now looking right there behind them, waiting on any moment for his moment to shine. He's gotten 1 podium all season. Can he get another? But right now, Daniel Moreno, Felipe, loving what's happening behind him. Battle it out, ladies and well, gentlemen, let me say. Battle it out behind us so I can pull away. Right now, Taj Edwards now seeing everything unfold, waiting on his moment. Miguel Beltran, though, he's trying to see if he can get his moment as you see him there pulling on the Jamaican. Where is Daniel? Oh, that's Daniel Moreno. Sorry, that's Miguel Beltran now watching behind them. And Taj Edwards not too far behind. But Felipe Yield taking this as his moment to shine, to get away from the masses and run quickly away. Estefano, though, he's not making any inroads, so I'm guessing he just wants to have a clean race and just bring this race to an end and the season. Still good points here for him. But we'll continue onwards because Miguel now chases Daniel Moreno. Daniel Roberts fights it out for P2. Has the 2 behind him, and I'm sure he'll be pushing to try and see where he can get away as quickly as possible for the foreseeable future. Let's just take a quick look. This was a battle between them. This was them side by side all through from turns 3 all the way down to turn 13. The 2 were fighting it out tooth and nail. We'll take a look back at it. We don't want to miss even a second of action as you see Moreno there just waiting on his moment. Can he come back and fight it out in these latter stages? Will be parking the car on the apex and hoping that he can just carry this to the end now. Miguel wants as many points to fight against Daniel Moreno. Yes, teammates, but still competitors on track. What an evening of racing this has been. Wow. As they head down now the old man straight and goes very wide is Mr. Roberts, and he's going to be fighting it out. It's going to be the outside for him as they head down into the final corner. He's trying to close that gap between himself and Miguel. Miguel now pulls out to the wide portion of the track. Will he go for a switcheroo? Can he even? Ooh, you see the bounciness of the track there. But Miguel Beltran now moves up into P2 and will put that car right where it needs to be. Daniel Roberts though will try to go the long way around, but especially at turn 1, that's not going to be ideal for him. We saw what happened between himself and Daniel Moreno, and there you see him go extremely wide. He does make the move, and Miguel Beltran now sits in P3 and then quickly taken back. Miguel Beltran now sits in P3. Daniel Roberts in P4. Taj Edwards has entered the mix, but he's now being threatened by Daniel Moreno, who is on the outside. And that outside will continue to be the outside as they head down now into the hairpin corner. And it will be side by side. Concedes it? No, he does not. Makes that car wide. Taj is not giving this one up just yet. Taj holds on to P4 in this battle here this evening. Daniel Roberts has some more work to do. Not sure if he gave back the position after overtaking or if it was on merit. It looked a little bit too easy, but who knows? We'll hear about it later on. But Daniel Roberts now chasing down Miguel Beltran. While this battle is going on though, we'll take a look at the Calypso Racing CRC Calypso Racing Community driver and Andrew Marson, who's battling it out with Javier Salazar. That battle looks like it's going to continue to be heated as they're separated by a few mere tenths. Andrew, hear me, Daniel Moreno now though, just trying to push this driver through, wants to get to attack the ones in front of him and fight for P2 in the standings. Again, it's a top worst two results that will be dropped. So I'm sure he wants to see if he can get there as quickly as possible to get as many points as possible. But the Jamaican in front of him is acting as a buffer between himself and his teammate. He's trying to get ahead of by the end of this race. We have 3 minutes remaining. That means we have about 2 more laps. 1 more lap after this one. Felipe Yield, 2.5 second gap. So he's gotten exactly what Estefana got and had wanted at the end of this. But there you're seeing it right in front. Daniel Roberts again putting a move to try and see if he can get that position ahead of him from Miguel Beltran, trying to close the gap and bring as many points into the final, to the conclusion of this championship to Felipe Yield and Estefana Barrera. Right now it's looking like he's going to be in P3 by the end of this championship. Javier Salazar and Andrew Morrison have not given it up. They've enjoyed this battle between themselves as the two have switched positions a couple times. But we just want to focus right here on this battle here, because Daniel Moreno still trying his best to see if he can get through as quickly as possible. Did come second in race 1, wants to see if he can come back second again in race 2. He's not far from it. So only time and effort can tell and be the factor that will define what will happen here this evening at the end of this race. But right now, Taj Edwards in best finishing position for himself in between Daniel Roberts and Daniel Moreno. This is what Daniel Roberts would have wanted in Jaden Harrison, who is not in the race this evening. He's actually at the Sebring racetrack in reality, or real life, let me say. So right now, Taj Edwards working as the perfect teammate for Daniel Roberts here this evening. What can happen as they continue onwards for this final battle? We'll be heading into the penultimate lap right now as you see Felipe Yield coming around the Sunset Bend. Now it's just to keep it clean. Doesn't need to rush it. Enjoy yourself and bring this to a good and clean conclusion, Felipe. Right behind them, Miguel Beltran, Daniel Roberts, and Taj Edwards and Daniel Moreno all fighting out! And that! Taj Edwards turned the complete opposite direction. And that is, oh my God, on the final lap. So Estefano moves up one. Daniel Moreno, he now sits in P4. Daniel Roberts, he's still hunting down Miguel Beltran. But Taj Edwards, I don't even want to know what he's thinking right now as he joins back. And it looks like he's going to just bring this to an end for himself here this evening. But we'll continue watching because right now the Peter Arundel in P11, Kavan Thomas Green in P12, Joel Santamaria in P13, Kimani Eastman in P14, and Bruno Alves finishes off in And the wait is over. We are back with racing in 2026. The season kicks off with the Porsche Cup. Dynamic conditions, 8 iconic tracks, drivers throughout the Caribbean and the world fighting for glory in the new revamped Porsche Cup. This is promising to be the best season yet at the JSRA as we lead into season 2 with the GT3 Championship. Drivers fighting for the top step of the podium. They've returned for the fight, and the glory will be theirs. And side by side, the two drivers as it's a sprint race down the Kemmel Straight. And Mikhail Charlesor now sends a move down the inside into turn 7. Huge lockup. Maris Garcia sees the error and runs away with it. 7 Mile Racing chasing in the background for P1. The season begins January 23rd, 2026. Sponsored by Shotels. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go into the interviews. We'll be starting with Daniel Roberts, who finished his evening off very dramatic. We'll hear his point of view, but still, it was a relatively good race. We saw a few incidents there at the end, unfortunately, but we'll discuss it in a moment's time with the drivers. We're trying to get Mr. Felipe Yil and Daniel Moreno as well. So hopefully they'll join. They normally come a little bit later. So hopefully we can get them in at some point. Yes. Awesome. Okay. So I was having some issues. My apologies. So yes, we'll be beginning with Mr. Roberts, Daniel Roberts, who is online. No, Daniel, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, good evening, man. Congratulations on the racing so far.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
It was a evening of drama to say the least. But yeah, we are, let me say, a season of drama, let me say, but nonetheless we can bring it to a conclusion here. But yeah, we'll just go quickly into the interview. Let's start off firstly with the qualifying session. Um, it looked like you were struggling for a bit there. You didn't get a good lap in until the final one. How was the qualifying session for you?
Yeah, it was awful. I was obviously slower than my practice pace. I just can't seem to do qualifying in this car. It's just something I need to work on in the future, I guess.
Absolutely. You started there in P6, if I remember correctly. You were behind Taj Edwards and in race one, and I want to say he let you through, but I couldn't tell you. But nonetheless, how was it battling through the field to catch back up? You finished race one in P3, was it?
Yeah, P3.
Right after that bump at the turn one with Daniel Moreno. Walk us through that battle.
Yeah.
I heard you saying it was a lot cleaner than we've had in the previous races.
Yeah,
But yeah,
like
walk us through it.
yeah, I think overall the racing was clean, but for that battle, uh, yeah, I guess I could have been more on the apex slightly, but I do think it was a slightly unfair bounce and threw me off, and then he was just defending really hard, so I could not get second to be behind Estefano. I'm assuming they were, teammates, so wanted to minimize the chance that I could, claim the championship. Yeah, but it was unfortunate. He's blocking me on parking on the apexes. It was kind of impossible to get around him. But yeah, I didn't really deserve like yeah, I made a mistake in the last race, but P3, like podium position and supposedly in both races would have been where I deserved. I don't necessarily think I deserved to win the championship, uh, given my performance. But yeah, I definitely did not deserve to win this race at all. Yeah.
Well, nonetheless, we saw the dramatics with yourself, and I think it was Miguel, was it, in the final?
Uh,
No, it was Moreno,
in the
or
last race or the first race?
in the last race. Sorry, trying to
Yeah,
remember who.
it was all of them. There was drama with all of them, to be honest. So I'm not really sure which one you're referring to.
Well, it was the last one. As a
Yeah, the
matter of
last
fact, we
one.
want to find out what had happened there coming out of the Sunset Bend, because we just looked back and we saw you. We didn't know if it was an incident with another driver or was it on your own.
Yeah, it was on my own. Just basically hit the inside curb, car got an awful bounce, and I just completely lost it. I've never really lost it like that before, but you know, strange things do happen in these races. But at that point, I was kind of over it anyways. Like, yeah, I was obviously extremely upset with myself to make a stupid, childish mistake like that. Like, it feels so junior and like rookie to do something like that. But you know, if I'd finished second in both races, I think I would have had a very good shot because at the end of the day, if it's finishing third or second in the championship doesn't really mean much to me. I just was trying to win, so I
Yeah.
was gonna finish third after that incident. So I would like to apologize for Daniel. I don't know if you saw it on the stream, but like when we were on the straight from that last turn, and then like I kind of bounced and then he hits into the wall. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't think we saw it. No.
Oh yeah, like basically yeah. Like I don't necessarily think it's completely my fault because you know how that curb that the wall comes to you and it like closes off and so you have to like turn right. Yeah, exactly. So like I think he didn't leave enough space to me for me. So then we bounced and then he hit the wall after. But yeah, and then I think the last incident you saw between me and what was that? Who was that? Miguel. I think that was a racing incident in my opinion. Uh, Like we both were just driving hard. He didn't leave a lot of space, and then I was obviously going for a small gap. Like things happen. I'm not really too upset with that. It was unfortunate he spun at the end. Ideally just like hit doors and keep going, but
Well, there was one in particular. I remembered you going off track and overtaking. I think it was Miguel by turns 2, 3, 4. But it's almost like he gave it back immediately.
uh, I won. There's so there was, it was a very intense race. I kind of like I was very happy with the battles in my opinion. It was just tough. It was just tough racing. Was that the one where I went off track on turn one? Uh, so I don't think I gave, and then he bounced me, right? Kind of. There were just so many, but yeah, I don't think I gave it up to him. I think I was just so off track that like my tires had dirt on it, so I actually didn't have like that much grip, and so I couldn't push too hard into the turn. Uh, yeah, and then yeah, honestly, there's so many I don't even remember exactly which one that was. But yeah, anyways, congrats to the winners, and congrats to the championship winners. So yeah.
On your finishing position. We believe it right now to be P3. So we'll double check that at the end of this, and yeah, hopefully we can get that done as quickly as possible. But Daniel, it's been a pleasure nonetheless, brother. And looking forward to seeing you in the next series that we have.
Yeah, I look forward to it as well. Thank you to all the sponsors and thank you for hosting us. I know it's been a tough time for you, but next time will be smoother. And yeah, just keep improving each series to the next. So yeah, thank you.
All right, Daniel. Thank you too, bro. Bless you and have a
All right,
good night.
yeah, same to you.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Daniel Roberts. Now we have Estefano Barrera, who right now as it stands, we believe has won the championship. He had a relatively uneventful race one, but we'll just check. Estefano, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Man, congratulations on this evening. It was a race to behold. We'll get into the special race two, but let's just talk through quickly your thoughts on your qualifying lap. I know it looked a little bleak up until your final lap. How was qualifying for you?
It was a roller coaster of emotions because I threw out turn one like 210s. If I didn't lose that 210s, it would have been a 58. Apart from that, it was a perfect lap. Not too much to say. Just right inputs at the right time, and it quite paid off because I knew I had to do pole if I had to keep my chances to win the championship, and it worked. I was actually locked in for that, so I'm actually really happy with my lap.
Well, it was a brilliant lap to say the least. It caught us off guard because we saw a few yellows, but nonetheless, it put you on provisional pole. You started off well and just ran away with it. In race 2 now, you started in P10. It looked like a slow start, and then you got caught behind Mikhail Charles. How was that battle, and talk us through it?
Yeah, it was an unlucky turn one. Fortunately, I hit one of the cars when someone spun out, and it was just too close, and then I couldn't see it. It was quite of an racing incident, so later on I was just really careful, especially behind Mikhail, because he's well known for defending too well. So I just didn't want the penalty. I didn't want to dive bomb just so badly. So I just waited for the right moment for him to make a mistake, and then just basically cruising around on the track. Not too much to say. Clean race too. Despite all the incidents I could have had, I had a clean race, and really happy with that. I'm really happy with Mikhail too. We did an amazing battle for like 3 laps.
Absolutely, it was fun to watch. It was actually a highlight of the race, if I'm being honest. But congratulations, man. We will be going through the entirety of the points just to finalize and confirm with the drop races who won it. As it stands, it looks like you won it. So take a great smile right now, brother. But it's been a long season. Any final thoughts as we bring it to a conclusion?
Yeah, it was a roller coaster, that race too. I was sweating around saying our cars from P2 to P4 constantly changing, so always thankful to my sponsor, to my friends, my family. Always watching my dad telling me the table in the race, like you need X position and you need to overtake that car, or you need that result. So I was feeling quite confident.
Awesome, bro. Well, huge congratulations to you again, and looking forward to seeing you as we continue moving forward, brother. So we enjoy your night. Please send my love to your family, and we look forward to more and more battles with you.
Thank you very much. See you in the next season. Hopefully with some things sorted out. A great season overall. We was just a bit angry sometimes, but it's always a pleasure to race here. So we'll see you next time.
Absolutely, man. We'll see you as well. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Right. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Estefano Barrera, who we believe has won the championship. So please stay tuned to our Instagram. But this does bring us to a conclusion of the 2026 Porsche Cup. It's been a roller coaster of a season. There's so much that we can take from, and we look forward to growing as a community. We look forward to the commentary on how we can grow better and do better as drivers, as management, and we look forward to the next season ahead of us. So please, if you want to come on board and you want to join us racing, then it's as simple as just sending us a message. We have an invite link into our Discord, our WhatsApp, our Instagram. All of it can actually be found in our comment, our caption, my apologies. So we'd love to have you more. But a huge thank you to our sponsors at Hotel, who has provided the means for us to have this championship. We continue to look forward to improving the product. We thank you all for joining and being with us here on another Friday evening. I've been your host, Mr. Steven Stewart, and I bid you a good night. And that brings us to the end of another wonderful race weekend. We thank you for joining us as the drivers put on a show, fighting for the top step of the podium. But we will see you again next week as the drivers return for the next round. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing you the action, the drama, and all the battles here at the JSRA. Huge thank you to our sponsors, Hotel, who without them none of this would be possible. And a grander shout out to our Lord Jesus Christ, who without him none of this would be a thing. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful evening and a great night.